Choke, no joke, I'm in the building. I know I'm a little late. It's time. I didn't hear the school bell. It's the entertainment school. Biggie BX, what up? First in the building. Dip said you ain't get to say first right now. Sorry. All right. Leslie V, what up, baby girl? I see you. Girl, you are sexy. And that is what you are. There's no one in between. 'Cause you and me are one. So come stay with me. Let's go to another world. And we'll be fly with each other. Ah, yeah. Stay with me, baby girl. Gonna get it out, I'm popping. What up? Christina, what up? Good afternoon to you, Leslie. CJ, what up, CJ? My man Charles Johnson in the building, CJ. Matthew Azevedo, my Latino crew. I'm going to speak some real facts today. Something I touched on, where I never touched on here. Sorry, see you later, Dipset. Don't worry, you can watch it later. You're going to make sure you want to watch this one. Lou H, what up? You learning Python? That's what's up. Yeah, I'm gonna post a Python tutorial today for everybody that keep coming in my comments on my coding and trading. I'll show you how you do it. Learn it yourself. And then you can teach your kids. Assalamu alaikum, my brother. George, what up? Benito Delgado. My son learned this in high school in his computer science and computer programming class. What school he went to, Tammy? And what city and state? You got to do a cartoon choke from yesterday. What up, what up, what up? DJ Drew Ski in the building. Or is it Dredge Ski? Pamela says, watch the elbow bump. Good vibes, virtual hugs. Sanitizer, hydrate, elbow cough. Wash your hands. Okay. She's still watching the news. Very paranoid about the virus. My son learned how to create bot accounts. In what city and what state? Oh, Colonial Forge High, Stafford, VA. So they teaching that in VA schools. Dr. Mike TV, what up? I'm trying to knock out this tuna melt. I know y'all say, oh, you should have came on. I would have been much more later if I waited. But in the meantime, do know. You know what? Let me put it in the chat.
DJ Mello, DJ Mello.
Oh, here we go here. So remember, dropping my mixtape Friday, the 50-year-old platinum version. My album's out right now on all platforms. Learn from mistakes. Make sure y'all get that. You know what I mean? But for those who didn't hear the new joint that's going to be on the mixtape, let me give you a little taste.
Choco Joe, you know what it is. Learn from mistakes out right now on all platforms. This one right here is for the mixtape. Let's go. Yo, nah, I ain't do this for clout. I'm just a real nigga trying to figure you out. How you don't put blood in this Judas mouth? Talking Japanese wine like you figuring it out. Blushing at this bitch that disrespects your kid and her earth. Carmen, I know that it hurt. You said Pac left us. With rappers that wink at other rappers in the studio, which made me think, yo, what he got on you? And homie and B, cause at Webster Hall, he didn't stream one link. Yo, y'all playing for punishment. I'm sick and I'm done with it. If it was part of your plan, nah, part of my word on it. I'm just your fan. We're little celebrity. Some say it's just the hate in me. Nah, I'm cut from a cloth. You don't brush shit off. Well, the penthouse of law. Gotta have a ceiling. Only forgive hoes for sexual healing. And that thought right now is not appealing. With these chicks, with the dicks like Little Nas X, I'm not a fan. You damage your brand. Yo, Nas, don't ever do that shit again. I'm signing off. Esco stand. Choco Joe, you know what it is. You know what it is. Yeah. You nigga, I ain't sorry for shit. I ain't with your boys' games. Nigga, I'm with this shit. I'm nothing like Nas. I'm with this shit. I'm more like Jungle when the bust your shit. But bro got me on chill. He said I'm Illmatic, with the static, with the ratchets. Yeah, let's go to Brooklyn, cause he gotta have it. School days, would've called you faggot and smoked you like a Spike Lee joint. Yo, the greatest of all timers, I hit with all timers. Buster, nigga, your mic with the shine. Knockout, yeah, one-liner, give you a reason to be a one-item without a reasonable doubt. You been a liar, you had a game, Jazzo inspired, Great Dame and Chris, they ran a liar through the rock and the fire. Damn, you cold, build the nation, the crowd back home. How you the king of LA when Cuba's home? How you be in LA when Nip is gone? Mr. Smith, yeah, I'm nice with the gift. Two, the double tundras got those two. Your wisdom, knowledge, that I'm king too. I'm sorry I met the other side of you. That's a gift and a curse. I'm Christ from birth. From the hearse to the dirt. Fake niggas claim hurt. So I stay on my bullshit like I'm dirt. And never shy. Let my feelings fly. Cause we all die. Like y'all been. Nigga, I'm here. Only fear I have. And the truth not be told. We all get old. It's joke, no joke. Y'all already know. Let's go. Choco joke. You already know. Learn from mistakes out right now on all platforms. This for the mixtape. The 50-year-old platinum virgin. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. And we out of here. Black Hole Studios, out.
Choke, no joke. Cheeky choke, no joke. Was good. Was good. Bigger BX. I see you. You already know. We doing another show. Good looking, Kimberly Moore. Appreciate you, baby girl. You already know. Boom, 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 boom. Is truth be told? Boom, 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 boom. With joke, no joke. The one who give y'all some hope. I'm live on YouTube, y'all. Instagram, Patreon. I'm live. Now, before I even get to the Python tutorial, which will be later on. And the reason I'm doing that is because, you know, my guy came on yesterday and said he was hiring. And one of the things that you had to know how to do was Python. So hopefully y'all who already know Java, JavaScript, Python, and all this other stuff, y'all already hit him up at, what was his email, y'all? doomnyc@gmail.com. You know, if you have experience and you would like to work for a Fortune 50 company. Love me some half and half. What? Yo, if Ho make a diss verse on you, or you keep coming back with fire. He already made diss verses. It wouldn't be the first time. He ain't gonna say my name. I know you know that, right? Because he feel like he'll be helping me. He'll be giving me publicity. He learned with Nas not to say niggas' names. You don't want it with Hov. Nas don't want it with Hov. Nah. Ether. That nigga would never say another nigga name again, goddammit. Motherfucker Ether ate that nigga ass up like piranhas. Yo, whatever. Oh, that nigga learned this motherfucking lesson. Now, if you see the title, it says Hip Hop CEOs. I have a question for you. I kind of know the answer to this question, but the reason I'm proposing it is because I want the newcomers into the industry, whether you're grown or you're young, that's going into the record business or coming into this entertainment business. I've been telling you a lot of stuff for a lot of years. As you can see, a lot of it has come to light. All right. The thing that's been sitting on my mind lately, shout out to everybody on my Instagram Live, on YouTube, and Patreon. And I propose this question to Jay Prince, Master P, Jermaine Dupri, Ludacris, Rick Ross, D and Y, Irv Gotti, Ja Rule, Dr. Dre, Eminem, 50 Cent, Luke, Ice Cube, Puff Daddy, Diddy, Sean Combs, Diddy Bop, Legs Open Very Easy, whatever he call himself today. Who else am I missing? Do y'all know what all these people have in common? Tony Draper, Young Jeezy, Jay Dane, L.A. Reid, Babyface, I think I named enough of them. What they all have in common are all these people had record labels. Birdman, Slim. All these people are CEOs of record labels. Gucci Mane, yes, Russell Simmons, but Russell Simmons is not going to fall under the category of CEOs that I'm talking about. My questions to the Jay Princes and everybody else's, the P's, what happened to all y'all record labels? When I ask y'all what happened to all y'all record labels, I mean exactly that. What happened to all y'all record labels? It was at one point in hip hop, everybody was running around. Yeah, I got a record label. 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 Why haven't any of y'all record labels turned into what Russell Simmons created with Def Jam? Why all y'all record labels are gone? I can't walk up in none of y'all record label right now like I could still walk up in Def Jam. I can't walk up in No Limit Records right now like I could walk up in Interscope Records. I can't walk up in Death Row Records right now like I could walk up in Sony. I can't walk up in Rockefeller. I can't walk up in Murder Inc. I can't walk up in Disturbing the Peace. I can't walk up in Rough Riders. Why? Why don't none of these labels exist today? Why did they not transcend into a Def Jam or a Universal or a Sony Music? Can anybody answer me that question? I would love for Master P or Jay Prince or Jermaine Dupri. Where's So Def at? Where's the last album artist they signed, put out? It makes sense to y'all? I'm gonna show y'all something, how ill this game is, right? Watch this. I know I think different, so I gotta show y'all for the intelligent and then for uh the novice. All right, now check it out. Check this out. Sugar Hill Records, right? This is the start of hip hop commercially to me, right? Rapper's Delight, everything that came out there, Rapper's Delight. If you ask anybody that's my age, what's really their first experience of hip hop on radio, pop, they're gonna tell you Rapper's Delight. That's probably the first song that anybody and everybody memorized the song from beginning to end. That's why I be telling y'all niggas, don't tell me nothing about hip hop. Hip hop was born after me. It was born into my life. I was here before it. I watched it be birthed like my child, and I took care of it. And I still take care of it to this day. I'm an overprotective dad of my baby. All right? So when people come into my baby's life and try to take advantage of my baby and rape and rob us, they get dealt with. All right, so now look. Sugar Hill Records, launched in 1979 by Sylvia and Joe Robinson, right, as a label for rap music. Now, you would think, being that they was way before Def Jam, that they would still be around today, but they not, all right? So we're not going to cry over spilled milk. But look, 1979, they started this, right? We're going to move on. Def Jam is still around, but I'm going to show you. Def Jam was founded in 1984, which is 5 years after the Sugar Hill Gang. And they was founded by Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons, right? I'm going to come back to the Def Jam origin in a second, right? But look, 1984, they still around. It's still a prominent factor in hip hop, somewhat, right? But they are the only one that made it to the level and is still around. Why? I'm going to get back to that later, right? Now, let's talk around the same time as Def Jam, right? You have, boom, Uptown Records, who was founded by Andre Harrell. Now we know who comes from Bad Boy. I mean, Andre Harrell, Puffs comes out of Andre Harrell camp, and Bad Boy comes from Uptown, right? But is Uptown Records still around today? No. Okay? I got you, Miss Smith. Uptown's not around today. Rest in peace, Andre Harrell. Now remember, you got Uptown, you got Def Jam, you got Queens, you got Mount Vernon right here. All right? Now look at the positions of New York City and the birth of it, right? Sugar Hill Gang, that's, I don't even know where they label was at or whatever, but Rapper's Delight, that's Grandmaster Caz, Penn, and all that. So that's Bronx. So you got Bronx, Uptown, Mount Vernon, and you got Queens, right? Remember that. Here also then you got 85, right? So it's Cold Chillin'. That's Queens or Brooklyn, but you got the Juice Crew and everybody there, right? This label does not exist anymore. So Cold Chillin' comes before Uptown. So you got Russell in them. You got Tyrone Williams, who owns Cold Chillin', and then you got Andre Harrell, Mount Vernon, right? This is New York, right? We still talking about New York City. Once again, this label does not exist anymore. Then we cannot forget, I'm not going to leave my favorite artist and CEO out. Same time, Russell Simmons, Andre Harrell, Fly Ty is getting it cracking on the East Coast. Can't forget my favorite artist and CEO, Eazy-E, 1986, Ruthless Records. Okay? I'm going to teach y'all something here. You ever seen that movie, The Butterfly Effect, or Back to the Future, where if you change something, it'll kill the whole course of history? Without Eazy-E, you don't have Death Row Records. You don't have Aftermath. You don't have Shady. You don't have G-Unit. You don't have Lynch Mob Records. Interscope wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for Ruthless Records. Because Death Row made Interscope what it is. So, 1986, Eazy-E on the West Coast. So now, let's move up a little bit faster and let me show y'all something. This is a hip-hop history and a business lesson, right? And remember how things fall apart. Remember, Eazy-E passed away allegedly from the AIDS virus, but allegedly most of us think that he was killed, right? Now, when we move up real quick, now y'all seen all these people, right? Now let me show you this. Every record label I showed you so far as hip hop was black owned, right? And remember when they started. Interscope Records, founded by Jimmy Iovine and Ted Field as a $20 million joint venture with Atlantic Records of Warner Music Group, right? Check this out. That's 1989. Russell's already doing it. Her brother, Fly Ty's already doing it. Sylvia Robinson already done it since the 70s. Andre Harrell, Uptown, 80s. Eazy-E, 80s, 85, 86. Right? And they selling. LL selling at Def Jam. The Juice Crew selling at Cold Chillin'. NWA is selling. Eazy is selling. Uptown Records is selling. Heavy D is selling. Vanessa Sequence. Everybody all these people I just named had a star or several stars. Uptown Jodeci, Mary J. Blige, All these before Interscope, right? Now look, Interscope comes in 1989, damn near 5 years after all these things, and not owned by a black man, owned by 2 white men. Right? Now look, no longer when Jimmy Iovine and Ted Fields do a joint venture and they get 20 million to do this deal with what talent at the time? Who was signed to Interscope at the time? Then boom, here comes Death Row Records 2 years later after Interscope. Right? I'm curious to know Interscope Records roster 1989. Let's see who they had. It was a rock label. The first record that came out of Interscope Records was Rico Suave, an Ecuadorian rapper. Y'all remember that? Geraldo? That rapper, Rico Suave. It was some bullshit. And then 91, Primus, Interscope, the debut, Sailing the Seas of the Cheese was released in May, followed by Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, Music for the People, which included the one song Good Vibrations. 2 days after hearing his demo, Wally signed Tupac Shakur in 1991. And by November, Interscope released Tupacalypse Now, Shakur's first album. So by 91 is when they first dealt with a black person as far as record label, their record label. Then they started sign in 92, No Doubt, and all this other. It don't even matter. We talking hip hop, all right? So remember, in 92, Interscope negotiated the deal between Dre and Suge, and they did the deal at Death Row Records. Prior to that, in 89, they didn't have no hip hop. Tupac is their first artist. In 91, Death Row was created in 91. 92, they do a deal with Interscope. So most of Interscope's success is Death Row Records and hip hop. Death Row sold hundreds of millions of records for Interscope, who was a label just like them. So how is Interscope still relevant, still around to this day, one of the biggest labels, and surpassed all these people except for Def Jam? What happened to all y'all labels, brothers? How does Suge have all his talent and Dre at Death Row, and they do a deal with Interscope, which they really didn't even need Interscope, because Interscope is owned by somebody else? when they could have did their deal with them directly. So Interscope made so much money off Death Row that they became bigger than Death Row off of Death Row's catalog. Then here's another one. Cash Money, 91. Now they still around somewhat, but they not Interscope. They not Universal. They not Sony. And I don't even think they got it like they had it before. But they may be the one of the only left. Like, where is Murder Inc. label at? Where's all these people labels at? Where's Rough Riders at? What happened to y'all label deals, man? Or did y'all even have real record deals? Because you know what? If there's a word that always was thrown around, imprint deal. Let's see what an imprint deal is. An imprint, a label used as a trademark or brand and not a company, is called an imprint, a term used for the same concept in publishing. An imprint is sometimes marketed as being a project, unit, or division of a record label company, even though there's no legal business structure associated with the imprint. Oh, so a lot of y'all niggas had imprint deals. Y'all niggas was just a logo on the package. Y'all didn't have no record labels. Y'all had imprint deals. Get it. What is an imprint? When a label is acting strictly as a trademark or a brand, then it is usually called an imprint, a term used for the same concept in publishing. An imprint may be marketed. Oh, y'all niggas is out here capping. Yeah, I got a record label. Yeah, I got a label. No, nigga, you got an imprint deal, nigga. You trademarked your company, so they said, all right, nigga, we're going to give you a few dollars to put your logo on the CD package to make it look like you got a label. Y'all niggas had imprint deals. A lot of y'all. Certain niggas like maybe like P, J Prince had record deals. A lot of y'all niggas like Ludacris probably had an imprint deal. Disturbing the Peace probably was an imprint deal. This is why y'all niggas ain't got no record labels or no distribution or nothing right now, because you never really had a record label. You had an imprint deal. Once again, what is an imprint? When a label is acting strictly as a trademark or brand. Y'all niggas was out here capping. Man, so many people had imprint deals, and I just never cared to look it up to know what it was. But it's just a term used for the same concept in publishing. An imprint is strictly and nothing more than a brand and trademark associated with the marketing of sound recordings. So when you're talking about Murder Inc., it's just an imprint. It's not a company. An imprint may be marketed as a project, unit, or division of a company like Universal that manages it. Unit or division of the company that manages it. Imprints are the information you certainly want to add in the database and is the information available on sleeves in the form of a label logo, aka imprint. Y'all niggas was out here capping. Y'all niggas is wearing niggas chains for a fake record label. Hey yo, y'all niggas, y'all niggas is wearing. Y'all niggas. Yeah. I can't get it out. I can't get it out. Oh my God, I can't get it out. Oh shit. These niggas is wearing niggas chains for fake companies. Oh my God, yo. Y'all niggas wasn't really never signed to no goddamn Disturbing the Peace. Nigga, you was signed to Universal. You was signed to a logo. These niggas is signing logos. Forget the question. I already got the answer. Y'all niggas ain't even on the fucking label. Y'all niggas need to get them chains back to Universal, man. So many of y'all niggas got imprint deals. Y'all niggas had logo labels. Oh, I gotta catch my breath. I need an air pump or stuff. Yeah. Forget the question, man. I got my answer, man. This is why you gotta just research, yo. A lot of y'all niggas had imprint deals. Y'all niggas didn't have no record label. This is why none of y'all niggas got record labels today. They fake. They let y'all niggas go out here and cap. Gave you a logo deal. I could do that right now. I could go and say, yo, Puff. Yo, give me give me $2 million. I'll let you throw the Bad Boy logo on my album. I'm Bad Boy, y'all. It's just a goddamn logo. This is why most of these niggas ain't got no goddamn record label. They had an imprint deal. And now I bet you Universal and them, which call it, own no goddamn imprint. And they can't do nothing with it. Most of them. Niggas like P, probably J Prince, they independent. They probably had their joint. All these niggas that got signed and they wanted to do a record like Ludacris that got signed as an artist, and then now he want to do his own label. Oh yeah, we give you your own label. Boom, there go your label right there, nigga. You got a good logo? Show us your logo. Change that to that. Boom, yeah, you got an imprint deal. You good now. You can run out here and tell everybody you got a record label. You got to tell everybody you got a record label. You know, this way you'll get more kids to sign to us. Yeah. All the artists is owned by them. Yo, these imprint deal. Very smart. My imprint deal should be your first and only step towards becoming a national celebrity. That's how you get them. Y'all got a record deal. Y'all got a record label. Yo, you want to sign to my label? Oh, this nigga got it. Yo, what's your name of your label? Disturbing the Peace. Oh, this nigga blew up. Yo, he got his own label now. Yo, same thing probably with DMX. Yo, got my own label now, Bloodline Records. They giving people imprint deals to draw more people in, to fuck more people over into they goddamn fucking contracts into their lives. We have established an undisputed connection with radio networks, TV networks, magazine companies, marketing organizations, social media pros, and much more. We are offering the best prices in the industry with a guarantee like no other. Make sure you are ready to be a national celebrity. Come get an imprint deal. So what is actually an imprint record label? And an imprint label cannot sign artists on its own without the leverage of the real record label, since an imprint is usually not a legally registered company. In simple English, a trademark or a brand is not a company. Boom! An imprint label in the music industry only exists in the form of a name value which is not legally recognized business organization. It's more like a contractual joint venture to split profits when an already signed artist discovers and brings new talent to the major record label's roster. Did I just say that without reading that? Did I just say that without reading that? Y'all niggas, they gassed you up and told you got a record deal, a record label, and it's just an imprint deal, just so you could go and they make it look like you blew up and you got your own label now, so you can sign more people to them through you. You don't even own them because you ain't got no label. It's just an imprint deal. I better watch these dudes out here. But a vanity record label deal is a business entity, i.e., legally registered firm or maybe firm formed prior to an artist being signed to a major record label or after. That's what I'm talking about with Master P. He will already have had his label and everything in place, signed to his label, and then do a deal with them, and then it's a different situation. Sometimes a major record label will get to own everything through full acquisition when they sign an artist who already has his own label during the time they were still on the come up. In summary, a vanity record company will always be underneath a major label as a label subsidiary business entity. An imprint label cannot sign artists on its own without the leverage of a real record label. Read that part of it. What's really the point of starting a vanity label if an artist is still signed to a major record label? I just want to get the point of all this. I ain't getting all into the conversation. But let me see something real quick. Wait, what Def Jam artists had imprint deals? When Nas' first album under his new Def Jam recordings pack is released later this year, it will be on his own imprint, The Jones Experience. The joint venture is a key component of the newly minted mentioned agreement between the artist and Def Jam president Jay-Z, which has Nas switching labels from Columbia to Def Jam. The jump follows on the heels of the rap icon's headline making on stage Truce last October during a New York City concert. I've been in this business a long time and know what a great deal is. Nas tells Billboard in his first interview since news of the pact was reported. I signed a significant and excellent situation. The deal's terms have Def Jam parent Island Def Jam and Columbia parent Sony Music participating as financial partners in Nas' first two albums under the 4-album deal. Def Jam will provide A&R promotion and distribution for the two sets, while the labels will share marketing. The record label, the recording budget for each album is $3 million. It has been reported that $3 million includes advances for Nas, but sources familiar with the deal say the rapper received a separate higher advance, substantially higher advance. Why is this so faded? Sony retains ownership of the masters from Nas' 11-year tenure with Columbia, as well as the right to release a greatest hits collection. Why is this shit fading out like this? This is crazy. Can y'all see that? Why is this fading out like that? Shared with Def Jam, hold on. 11-year tenure with Columbia, as well as the right to release a greatest hit collection, not shared with Def Jam. Under terms of the pact, Nas will deliver 2 new tracks for Sony Hits package. Sony also included up to 3 tracks from the joint albums on the Hits compilation. The company executives declined to comment. All right, so even here, right here, Nas launching own imprint with Def Jam. We already know what an imprint deal is. So it's not like people took it back in the day, made, oh, Nas got his own label with Def Jam. No, he don't. No, he don't. He was able to trademark a goddamn logo, and they gave him some money to use that logo to put on their joint to make people think that he had his own label, so he could get people signed through him. It's like a damn pyramid scheme. It is a pyramid. Yo, we give you an imprint for you to bring niggas up under you to push you up. And then if one of them niggas pop, we give them an imprint, and then they bring a bunch of niggas under them to push them up. It's the record industry pyramid scheme. But you talk to these dudes, they'll tell you they own the label. That's why it was different for Dame and them when they did it, because they owned the label and put out music before they did the deal with Def Jam, who was instead of giving them an imprint deal, because if you look at it, Diplomatic Records probably was an imprint deal. Bean's criminal background, I don't even know if that even was real. But that would be an imprint deal. They giving Bleek a Get Low would be an imprint deal. Well, nobody was having labels. When you really sit down and think about it, these was just imprint deals in advance for us, and you get a percentage of more the people you bring to us. This is why nobody got a goddamn record label today. They ran the whole pyramid scheme from the beginning. Wow. Swiss Beats, Full Circle Records, imprint deal. This is why you see the artists be signed to somebody, and then you see they sign, they go, the major take them every time. That's why, because they never owned them. Wow. I got my answers. So my question would have been, why none of these record labels? Now you can only look at Cash Money, Rap a Lot, No Limit, Ruthless, Death Row, Def Jam. There's a few others that was only real record labels that got a deal after they was already established. Not an artist. Like Master P wasn't signed to Priority, and then they say, yo, and then created No Limit. He went to them with No Limit, so they had to do a deal with him, like they said, a vanity deal or a distribution deal or something, because he's already established. An artist like Redman or Method Man that gets signed as an artist will get offered an imprint deal, but would be told to us, yo, I got my own label now. That's how everybody carried it. Got my own label now. No, you got an imprint deal. Just for you to bring more people to the slaughterhouse. So when you see these dudes signing to dudes, and you know there's a major record label behind them, and these dudes ain't got no goddamn staff, and they don't know how to run. They are artists that don't know how to run their own stuff, but they got a record label. And I'm seeing dudes on Instagram sitting there signing to a nigga that don't know shit about the goddamn business. They getting robbed, signing another nigga. Y'all niggas be looking goofy, signing a contract on camera, and then years later, oh, y'all nigga jerk me. Nigga jerk me. I saw you was happy as hell when you was signing that contract, nigga, on Instagram, capping. Happy as hell on Instagram signing a goddamn document this thick. Just because your lawyer told you sign it. Which is probably his lawyer. Or her lawyer. Or your manager told you to sign it. I'm lit. I just signed. You just signed to a nigga that signed to a nigga that signed to another nigga that signed to a Jewish person. Now, when you look at it, Def Jam had a Jewish person attached to it. And that might be why they still around. Interscope, same thing. But name a black record label that's solely black. Because Russell Simmons was with Rick Rubin, and then when they went out of money, Leo Cohen's father, who was the president of that Israeli bank, is what funded Def Jam for 50% of Def Jam. So Def Jam count, but it don't count. It ain't run by us no more. Def Jam's like BET. Ain't run by Universal and Viacom. They would never put another brother in position to run Def Jam. Not one reputable that we know. So that was definitely my question. Wait, y'all didn't know Leo dad is the one that funded Def Jam when Russell Simmons was broke? Y'all didn't see Krush Groove? Do I need to tell this story? Do I need to tell that whole origin of, and I see somebody out here doing something about Zulu Nation, the first gay hip hop. Do I need to tell y'all about the how did I believe the whole gay boule thing started with the trifecta of Uptown Records, Andre Harrell, allegedly, because I'm not, rest in peace, I never seen him in the bed with somebody. Africa Bambaataa, allegedly, because I never seen him in the bed with somebody, but it's well known. If they sit here talking about the first gay family, and you got people out here co-signing that they had intercourse or dealings, same sexual dealings with Bambaataa. And then you got Russell Simmons. Queens, Uptown, Manhattan, in the Bronx. Africa Bambaataa, Russell Simmons, Andre Harrell, Rick Rubin. But you know what? I'm going to save that for tonight. I'll get into that because that's a long story and I already been on here for an hour. And I know a lot of y'all at work and y'all can't really watch. So I'm going to give that whole origin thing tonight. I would suggest y'all go watch Krush Groove before tonight. All right? So y'all could know exactly what I'm talking about because that movie tells the story. So go watch Krush Groove and I will tell you, all right? Go watch Krush Groove. And then tonight, 7 o'clock, 7 p.m., I'm going to come back on and we definitely going to, I'm going to get into that. But I still am going to do the Python tutorial, you know, for those people that came in for that, you know. I'm thinking for those people that do want to learn the coding and stuff, I'm willing to learn it with y'all. So I'm going to find a program that I feel is simple. Like my man they hiring, if you know Python. I'm going to check out this Python tutorial right now with y'all. And I'm willing, if y'all willing, even if you're not willing, but if I get enough people, I will set it up and download what necessary applications or whatever it is and do a live tutorial together, and we learn this together. I'm willing to do that. And the families, you can bring the kids on and adults, and we all go through one of these tutorials together. And if we can't get it, we can't get it. If we look silly trying it, or if I do, I don't care. But I'm willing to learn just like everybody else. All right. And if you're willing to learn, I mean, they say, my man said you can make $75K entry level without a degree with 6 months of training of doing this. So I'm willing to give it a try one day, maybe this week, one day this week. We're going to figure out, I'm going to try to get something that everybody can do. And let's try to do this thing together just for the fun of it. It ain't going to do nothing if, but teach us some shit. You know what I'm saying? And we can try it together on the live. I don't care if I don't understand it. I don't care if I screw it up, but I'm willing to try it with y'all. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna talk about it, we're gonna be about it. All right. So we're gonna do a class where we're gonna try this same Python joint that I'm about to play. So I'm gonna run this tutorial, because you know, my man, let me put his email up there for those who do programming. If you didn't see the show the other day, you might want to go do it. My man that hires for people that do coding. All right, that's his email there. All right here on the screen. doomnyc@gmail.com. If you do coding jobs. And I think say he was looking for people that do what he said, Java, JavaScript, Python, and like 2 other ones. You know, go look at the show and see. But if we could do this together just for the fun of it, like I said, just for the fun of it. You know what I'm saying? And this ain't no shots at homeboy or nothing. I'm just saying, if we could come on here and talk about current events, and we all say we for the kids and want to cheat and everything. Good looking, Re-Up. That's what he's saying right here. That's the email for the jobs. Yeah, we can do the joint. We can do it together. I don't, you know, like I said, I'm willing to embarrass myself just to see which go, and then we can bring, and everybody that's with it, I'll put everybody on the screens, and we can do it together. You know what I'm saying? I think it would be fun. Let's just do the class together, all right? What y'all saying here? What y'all saying here? You can still learn it. It doesn't matter what automation is doing. You can do something personal for yourself. That's true. I would love to, you know, make a little man walk from one side of the screen up. Then I might start learning how to do my own animation and start making my own little animation jokes. Y'all really be in trouble. Let me learn animation. Coding will be the language of the future, pure facts. We'll see. I'm sure y'all know what y'all talking about. So this Python tutorial I'm about to play is for absolute beginners. Now, we can learn this stuff in 30 minutes, depending on our comprehension or whatever. But let's check out this one, see how difficult it is, if it is or not. And I give us 2 days and we all come on here and doing it. All right? You right, ain't nothing wrong with trying it. I ain't gonna lie, it may not be easy, but I bet you're gonna learn something. And shout out to Kwame for inspiring it.
I'm the founder of this YouTube channel, CS Dojo, and I'm also a former software developer.
It is for entertainment. Educational purposes. So this brother name, I don't know his name, but his page is CS Dojo on YouTube, and he's teaching learn Python programming with this Python tutorial for beginners. And this guy is a former software developer at Google. So, and it's not like he's Joe Schmo from Idaho. He used to work at Google. So he's a little bit credible for us to be learning from. Well, he's probably a lot credible.
Developer at Google. And this is my new series, Python tutorial for absolute beginners. And this is my video number 1, what are variables? So this series is going to be good for complete beginners who've never done any programming before, as well as someone who's done some programming before, whether it's Python or any other language, but wants to learn more about Python. So in this video, I'm going to go through a number of different things. First of all, what is Python and what can you do with it? And then I'm going to explain how to install Python on your computer and then set up a development environment. We're going to use something called Jupyter Notebook throughout this series. And then I'm going to explain how to use the print function and what are variables.
Hold on, I got to give my baby only one Mayday shout out. Only meant one Mayday. Thank you, baby.
And how to use them. And by the end of this video, if you have 2 variables storing different things, you'll be able to swap the content within those 2 variables with each other. And I'm going to put an outline of this video in the comment section below, so you don't have to watch the whole thing if you don't want to. Oh, and before we get started, if you want to make sure that you don't miss my future tutorial videos, sign up to my newsletter, which is available in the description below. So just quickly, what is Python and what can you do with it? It's one of the most popular programming languages out there, and it's used at smaller companies as well as larger companies, including Google. And many universities use Python as the introductory programming language in their computer science courses. And one advantage of Python is that it's fairly easy to learn because it has fairly simple syntax. It's used for many different applications, including websites' backend code, which is the code that runs on your server, as opposed to the code that runs on your device, whether it's a phone or a laptop. And it's also popular for data analysis and scientific research purposes. Okay, so let's now go ahead and install Python on your computer. Usually when people develop a program using Python or any other language for that matter, they usually use something called IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment. It's an environment that includes everything you need pretty much to develop a program. It has a nice text editor in which you can write your code, and then the ability to run your program, as well as something called a debugger, which allows you to quickly get rid of all the bugs in your program. And if you want to use an IDE to follow my series, I'd personally recommend PyCharm's Community Edition. So in this series, instead of using a traditional IDE, I decided to use something called Jupyter Notebook. So Jupyter Notebook is an environment for writing and testing your program quickly. And it's actually popular with the scientific community and for data analysis purposes. But I've decided to use Jupyter Notebook throughout this series because it's very simple and easy to install Jupyter Notebook through something called Anaconda, and it's fairly easy to use as well. So here's the way Jupyter Notebook works. There are 2 components to Jupyter Notebook. First of all, when you launch Jupyter Notebook on your computer, you might see a command line interface like this. This represents the Jupyter Notebook server. You can think of it sort of like the core of Jupyter Notebook, and you don't have to worry that much about how it works exactly. But just remember that if you close this window, maybe accidentally, Jupyter Notebook might stop working. So just be careful about that. Now, when you launch Jupyter on your computer, you might also see a browser window or tab showing up, whether it's Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or anything else. And it'll probably be at the URL localhost colon 8888 or something like that. And it'll be connected to the Jupyter Notebook server. This browser window or tab is basically the user interface for Jupyter Notebook. And you can write and execute your code here. but it's actually executed on the Jupyter Notebook server. Again, you don't have to worry that much about how it works exactly, but this is just an overview. Now, to install Python and Jupyter Notebook, we're going to use something called Anaconda. Anaconda is something called a package manager, which allows you to install many programs at once. This particular package manager, Anaconda, is actually used for installing math and science libraries, but you don't have to worry about that. The only thing you need to know is that when you install Anaconda, it comes with Python and Jupyter Notebook. So you don't have to install Python or Jupyter Notebook separately on your computer. Let's now install Python and Jupyter through Anaconda. Go to anaconda.org and then click Download Anaconda and select whatever platform you're using, whether it's Windows, Mac, or Linux. I'm using Mac here, so I'm going to click Mac OS here. And there are two options here, Python 3 point something or Python 2 point something. Make sure to use Python 3 point something because we're going to use Python 3 instead of Python 2 throughout this course. So click Download and then save this file wherever you want to save it. And once this file is downloaded, just open it and then click Continue, 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 agree with everything, and then select Install for me only or install on a specific disk. It doesn't matter which one you choose, and then click Install. And this process will probably take a while for you. Once this process is done, you should see something like the installation was completed successfully. Once you see that, just click Close and you're all set. To launch Jupyter, you need to launch an application called Anaconda Navigator. Just launch that in the usual way you launch any other application, and then find Jupyter Notebook and click Launch. Like I said before, you should see a browser tab or window opening up, and it should be at the URL localhost :8888 or something like that. Okay, let's now create our first program. First, go to whatever the folder you want to create your first program in. I'm going to go to Desktop. And once you click it, you can see that my current location is Desktop because it's shown at the top right here. Before you create your first program here, I'd personally recommend that you create a new folder. So I just went to my desktop, I clicked, right click, and then new folder. I'm going to call this folder Python Tutorial 1. And once you create that folder, you should see in the Jupyter Notebook Interface 2, click that, and you see that the current location is Python Tutorial 1 within Desktop right here at the top. To create a new file or a new notebook file, as they say, just click New at the top right-hand corner, and then click Python.
The other thing I like about StreamYard is that if there's ever a glitch in your internet connection, your stream isn't immediately terminated like it can be with other software while live streaming to platforms like YouTube.
3. So a new notebook has been created here. Change the name of this notebook from untitled to, let's say, what are our variables. Click Rename. And once you do that, if you go back to Desktop and the folder that we just created, Python Tutorial 1, you'll see a new file, whatareVariables.ipynb. And .ipynb is just an extension for Jupyter Notebook. Now in Jupyter Notebook, there's something called a cell. Each cell represents a set of code, and the box you're looking at right now is one cell. So you can type in any Python code here. For example, print, parentheses, double quotes, hello world. And when you run this cell using this button at the top, it executes all the code within the cell. So let's run this cell, and you see that the string hello world is printed. So this text, hello world, is something called a string. It's usually enclosed by either double quotes or single quotes, and it's basically just a set of characters. So assuming that this is your first time coding in your life, I'm going to explain this line a little bit more carefully. So this says print whatever's in the parentheses, these two parentheses, and that happens to be hello world, the string. And when you run it, again, it's printed right below this cell, hello world. And the important thing to note here is that if you don't type in the exact set of characters that you see on the screen, it might not go right. So for example, if you forget to close the parentheses and run the cell, you'll get an error. And if you use, for example, curly brackets instead of regular parentheses, you also get an error. And if you forget to close the quotation marks, it's the same thing. So let's try using this print function a little bit more. In this cell that you see right here in the green box, you can type in print double quotes more string. And actually, instead of using double quotes, you can also use single quotes in Python. And then you can run this cell and the string more string is printed. So you can use single quotes and double quotes pretty much interchangeably in Python. And then you can also print not just a string, but also a number. So you can say print parentheses 3, and then when you run this cell, the number 3 is printed. And you could also have multiple lines within the same cell as well. So in this cell, you can write print, let's use double quotes here, more string, and then print 3. So when you run this cell, these two lines are executed one by one. So you see more string and 3 printed just one after another. So let's now dive into our main topic here, namely what are variables. Before I explain what are variables exactly in Python, I'm going to show you some sample code. You can write a equals 1. And what this means is that assign this value 1, this number, to the variable named a. You can think of it sort of like the variable a containing the value 1. That's not 100% technically accurate, as I'll explain later, but that's one way to think about it. So when you run this cell, you won't see anything printed this time, but the variable a now contains the value 1. Or a more technically accurate way of thinking about it is that the variable a refers to the value 1. And you can check what's inside the variable a by printing the variable with print parentheses a. And note here that there are no double quotes or single quotes around this character a, and that's because a is not a string, it's a variable. And when you run the cell, you see the value a is referring to, which is 1. And you can do the same thing with different variables. So you can write b equals 2. So the convention here is you write b space and then equal space and 2. This line says assign the value 2 to the variable b. And when you run the cell again, the variable b refers to the value 2 now. So if you haven't, for example, seen this code, and if you want to know what's inside the variable or what the variable refers to, you can write, just like before, print parentheses b, no single quotes or double quotes, run this cell with this button right here, and then you'll see the value b is referring to. Just like before, we can write multiple lines within a single cell right here by writing print parentheses a, print parentheses b, and when you run this cell, you'll see 1 and 2. So 1 is what a is referring to, and 2 is what b is referring to. So a variable doesn't necessarily refer to a number. It could refer to a string. So if you write, for example, c equals either double quotes or single quotes, hello there, and when you run this cell, c now refers to the value or the string hello there, and when you print c, you should see hello there printed. So I just ran this cell and the string hello there has been printed. So let's now quickly talk about what variables are in Python. When you write a equals 1 in a different language, for example, C or C++, the correct way to think about it might be as a box. So you have a box A containing the value 1, but in Python, this is not the accurate way to think about it. The more accurate way to think about it is that A is more like a name tag, and this can refer to any value you want. And when you say A equals 1, you're saying A refers to the value 1 now. These two ways of thinking about it, they might not seem that different right now, but it's going to be more important later. And in Python, you can create a new variable by writing, as we saw, b equals 2. And this says the name b, or the variable b, now refers to the value 2. And just like you saw, a variable can refer to a string as well. So if you write c equals hello there, you're saying the variable c refers to the string hello there. Once you master that basic concept, you'll be able to move on to a slightly more advanced topic. Let's say you run these lines of code, and then you want to run more code. For example, d equals 2. Then what happens is the variable d, of course, refers to the value 2, which the variable b also refers to. So it's totally possible for 2 or more variables in Python to point to the same value, in this case 2. And then it's also possible for you to reassign an existing variable to another value. So if you write b equals 1, after executing this line of code, b equals 2, after this line, b refers to 2, of course, but after writing b equals 1, b refers to 1, which a also refers to. And you can even reassign an existing variable, for example, b, which once referred to a number, 1 right here, to something else, for example, a string. So if you write, for example, b equals double quotes the string, the variable b now refers to the string So let's see how this actually works out in code. Okay, we're going to continue on the code we had earlier. Earlier, we had b equals 2. So if you print b, the variable, we get the value 2. And you can reassign this variable to another value, for example, 1, by writing b equals 1. And then when you run the cell and print b again, you get 1 printed, the new value. And what happens if you try to print a variable that doesn't exist yet? So if you try to print parentheses a, what happens? Let's run the cell and see what happens. It'll actually give you an error because e doesn't exist yet. And the error says name error, name e is not defined yet. So that makes sense. Let's fix that by writing e equals this is a string. And this way, the value, this is a string, is assigned to the variable e, and the variable e exists in the system. So if you print e with print parentheses e, and when you run the cell, you don't get the error anymore. And let's address another question you might have here. Is it possible for us to assign a variable to another one? The answer is yes. So here, if you write a equals 1, a, of course, refers to 1, and then c equals hello world, c refers to hello world. And what happens if you write f equals a? What happens then is this means the variable f, the name f, refers to the value a is referring to. So f refers to 1 now. And so f doesn't refer to the variable a. Instead, it refers to the value a is referring to. And this is important, for example, when you do a equals 2. If you write that, a now refers to the value 2 instead of 1, but f stays at the value 1. And this might not be the case if f was referring to the variable a. Let's take a look at another example here. If you write g equals c, the variable g will refer to whatever the value c refers to, which is hello world. And then once you write c equals hello, c will refer to the new value, hello right here, but the variable g will stay at the value hello world. Okay, let's go back into the demo.
If you're learning the code, I can almost guarantee that you're taking the long road instead of the shortest path. And frankly, that should terrify you. Most people invest a ton of time, end up forgetting 90% of what they learn, and then give up in the end anyway. Or they just throw a bunch of money at a code bootcamp and it still doesn't.
Earlier in the demo, we had a equals 1, and then c equals hello there. So once we print a and c with print parentheses a and print parentheses c, we should see 1 for a and hello there for c. What happens if we write f equals a, f should now refer to whatever a refers to. So if we print f, we should see the number 1 printed. And what happens if we assign a to 2? Then the value of a should now be 2, and then the value of f should stay, as I said earlier, at 1. Okay, now I'm going to give you a quick practice problem to work on in order to solidify your understanding of variables. And to do that, go back to the previous tab of Jupyter Notebook, the navigation menu. And if you already closed that tab, just open localhost colon 8888 or just relaunch Jupyter Notebook. And then go back to the same folder as before. We had Python tutorial 1. Click new in the top right corner. Click Python 3 again. And let's rename this notebook by clicking Untitled and by changing it to swapping to variables. And here's the problem. You're given 2 variables. Let's say v1 equals first string in double quotes and v2 equals second string, again in double quotes. How can you swap the values within these 2 variables with each other? The easiest way to solve this problem is just to write v1 equals second string and then v2 equals first string. But this might not be the best solution, because if you had a much longer string, it would be kind of cumbersome to repeat these strings. And then if one of the strings changes, so if first string becomes first 2 strings, then you need to rewrite your code right here to match that, to write first 2 strings again. So ideally, you want to be able to solve this problem without repeating the strings. Think about it for a second, and then I'm going to show you what a good solution might look like. When you see this problem, you might say, well, it's actually pretty simple. Once we have v1 equal to first string and v2 equal to second string, so that's v1 referring to this string and v2 referring to this string, we can just write v1 equals v2 and then v2 equals v1 and we're done. But actually this solution is wrong, because when we execute this line, v1 equals v2, v1 now refers to whatever v2 refers to, of course, which is second string. And then when we write v2 equals v1, v2 will now refer to what v1 refers to now, which is second string. So at the end of these lines of code, we'll have v1 and v2 both referring to second string, which is not what we want. Let's now see what a good solution might look like. I'm going to give you a few different options here. The first option is to use 2 temporary variables. We're going to call them temp1 and temp2. Temp1 will be equal to what v1 refers to, so that's first string. And then temp2 will be equal to what v2 refers to, which is, of course, second string. And then we'll just need to swap them together. So v1 will be equal to temp2, which refers to second string. So v1 will now refer to second string after this line right here. And then v2 will be equal to temp1, which is, of course, first string. So v2 will refer to first string after these lines. So this is one potential solution, but actually we don't have to use 2 temporary variables. Okay, here's a solution that only uses 1 temporary variable instead of 2. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to set a new temporary variable called temp to what v1 refers to. So temp will be this string right here. And after that, we'll set v1 to v2. So v1 will no longer refer to first string, and then it will refer to second string instead. And at this point, note that the first string, this string is not lost yet because we have a variable pointing to that value. So after that, all you need to do is refer v2 back to whatever temp refers to, which is first string. So v2 will refer to first string after these lines of code, and then v1 will refer to second string. And this little pattern of using a single variable to switch the values of 2 variables is actually really important to know, because it's a very common pattern to use for any programmer. Okay, let's now test that pattern with our Python code. So in the second cell, we're going to write our solution. We're going to create a new variable called temp, which refers to whatever v1 refers to, which is first string. And then we'll set v1 to be v2. So v1 at this point is second string. And then we'll set v2 to whatever temp refers to, which is first string. So at this point, once we print v1, we should be able to print second string. We do. And then if we print v2, we should see first string. And we do. Okay, to download the files I created throughout this video, just go to csdojo.io/python1. Or if you just want to subscribe to my newsletter so that you don't miss my future tutorial videos, just go to csdojo.io/news. And as always, let me know in the comment below what you thought of this video. I'm YK from CS Dojo, and I'll see you in the next video.
That's if you want to learn more about coding. You know what I mean? I done took my hat off, getting comfortable, do-rag, looking crazy. So, guys, the entertainment school for today. Your boy Choke No Joke, you already know.
Yeah. Choke no joke. You know what it is. Learn from mistakes out right now on all platforms. This one right here is for the mixtape. Let's go. Yo, Nas, I ain't do this for clout. I'm just a real nigga trying to figure you out. How you don't put blood in this Judas mouth. Talking Japanese wine like you fanning out. Blushing at this bitch that